Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news as we discuss an amazing deal that is very close to being agreed with Ajax. Terms agreed with Antony. The deal could top €100 million. We'll be talking about that. Also, certain players we thought might be for sale, not for sale anymore. And the expectation at Manchester United that there will be 2 more signings this next coming week. It is absolute mayhem. There are many other words about Manchester United. Jurgen Klopp's also been talking about the protests. We'll talk about that as well. But it is mayhem at Manchester United at the moment. And I think anything is possible as the Glazers look to save their skin, effectively. But before we get into all of that, as you can see next to me, today's show is supported by our friends at OneFootball. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about OneFootball plenty over the years, but that begs the question, why have you not downloaded it and been using it to keep up to date with all the latest football news, transfer news and action? I use OneFootball as my #1 destination for football news, transfer updates, player data and of course the latest match day scores. I don't know what magic they have going on at OneFootball, but I always get score notifications fastest with the OneFootball app. So if you want to be the most informed football fan in the world, then head to the description or scan the QR code on screen and download OneFootball today, totally for free. Thank you very much to OneFootball for supporting the channel. As I said, you can scan the QR code next to me or you can go through the link in the description. It's completely free to download for all your latest updates, stats, especially with the new season upon us. So check it out with OneFootball. Welcome to the Members Club, Keenan, by the way, and Simu and Adio and also Robert. Thank you very much for joining. And Jerome says, good morning, Mark. Just wanted to thank you for everything you do for this community. We appreciate it a lot. Keep it up. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Let's fly straight into the show then. Let's hit the headline. There's a lot to get into today and we're going to start off talking about Antony. As you can see, Antony terms agreed. And I suppose one thing that's, some semblance of normality in United's negotiations, if you can ever say that, is that we're actually following the well-trodden path with transfers. We saw it with Casemiro, we're now seeing it with Antony, where we're basically approaching the player and the agent. We're agreeing the terms that they want to come to the club, what their rough wages will be, signing on fee, etc. And then we're going for the deal with the club, knowing that the player wants to come to the club. Obviously, this is a bit unusual for us because most of us have been briefed on the De Jong deal for the last 3 months, where you don't agree with the player that they want to come and you're talking to the club, trying to persuade a player to come that doesn't want to come. So we're back to normal now. Casemiro, very much a very quick deal for United. This time last week, they weren't even in for Casemiro. They weren't even thinking about Casemiro. He's now a Man United player. How did that come about? Well, basically, we got a bit of a hint that Casemiro may be looking to leave Real Madrid if the price was right. We offered a lot of money. He said, I'll fancy that. Real Madrid didn't really want to sell him. We offered them a lot of money and the deal was done. Similarly, this is going to happen with another Brazilian, Antony. The difference is United have been chasing Antony all summer. And Antony has wanted to come to Man United all summer. And his agent has been pushing for this deal all summer. So Manchester United, terms agreed with Antony. You could argue that these terms have been agreed all summer. They could well have been discussed as far back as late May. But where we are now, Manchester United have agreed the financial package with Antony. It's called a broad agreement because obviously technically it could be tapping up, but a broad agreement is in place with Antony around his wages. I've got no information what those wages are, by the way. You would expect, I don't even know what Martinez is on. So I know Casemiro's on about 350 grand a week. Antony, what would he be on at Ajax? I don't think he'd be on 100 grand a week, would he? So what are United going to give him? 200 grand a week? Probably. I don't know. But the wages and everything are sorted. The terms are there. And as we know, Antony is effectively pushing for this deal on strike. He's not playing for Ajax today. He didn't train with them yesterday. He didn't train with them the day before. He's effectively handed his transfer request in. And he's effectively on strike until Ajax put the deal forward. So that has left a sour taste in the mouth of many Ajax fans. And look, I think you've got to be very, very careful about this because what about if Antony in 4 years' time wants to go to Real Madrid? It's all right as boasting at Ajax now, going, haha, look at you, he wants to come to Man United. A relegation Premier League club's better than the champions of the Eredivisie. But I like Ajax. I've always liked Ajax as a football club, and I don't want to disrespect Ajax, even if some of our fan base do want to. And realistically, Antony is 22. What about in 3 or 4 years if he does become really well and then Real Madrid want him and he goes, I'm not turning up for training, I'm not playing the game, I want to go? the shoe can be on the other foot very, very quickly. And I think it's always a very dangerous thing when you see a player going on strike to come to your club, because they may well do it to you in a few years' time. Hopefully not, but you know, I've got to say, I think that Antony did need to do what's been done. I don't know whether he should have pulled out of playing for the game today. I don't know whether he should have pulled out of training, but you know, maybe Ajax weren't going to do what he wanted to do, so it's hard to judge on it. But look, I like Antony. I really expect this deal to happen, and I think it will happen very, very soon. Morning, Mark. Could you do a video on Antony and Gakpo? I think United will offer him 175k or 200k a week, says Mikael Roach. Well, you lead into something quite nice there, because I do want to hit this head on, because I said it with Casemiro. I'll say it with any signing that we make. Jacob says, I'll happily take Casemiro and Antony and give us another midfielder and right back, but won't change the fact it's Glazer's out. I don't think anything will. We'll talk about that in a bit, Jacob. Game's a bit lost tomorrow now, but if he starts the usual suspects, then no amount of players we sign will change it. Glazer's out. The time is now, people, says David Miller. There will be other signings. We're going to talk about that in a minute, Kevin, but let me just stick with Antony, because I feel that this needs to be said. I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and as somebody that really wants Antony to come, and I think he's a really good player, I do, and I've said that all summer, and I really wanted us to go for him, and we are. And let's not forget that this is a Class A. This is a Class A. It's not a Class A drug. It's a Class A Ten Hag target. That means that this was the priority. You know, when he handed his list in, this was the player he handed in. So if Antony fails, it's on Ten Hag. And I think that's really important, that the club deliver the players that Ten Hag wants. It's why we should have got Timber, Darwin Nunez, De Jong. These were all his number one targets, and they didn't get them. With Antony, at least, and I still don't think it's a very good summer transfer window no matter what happens now, at least we get Antony, who is a player that Ten Hag is fixated with. Alexander, welcome to the Members Club. I'm against the Glazers and want them to go, but have to say after this spending and we don't get top four, Ten Hag's position must be discussed. As Runar, well, I wouldn't discuss Ten Hag's position when we're trying to get rid of the Glazers, mate. This is how we should be operating every window. This makes me even more Glazers out. They've been mugging us off, says Wayne. Jared, welcome to the Members Club. But, you know what? The first argument here is going to be it's not our money and we should be spending it, which I sort of agree with, but that does not mean that you overpay. I've got to say this. I want Antony. I want him to come to Manchester United, but 80 million euros on its own is ridiculous for Antony. Absolutely ridiculous. 80 million plus 20 in add-ons is ludicrous. The money we are paying for this player is stupid. Absolutely stupid. For me, £50 million top, because I think he's a good player and I want him at Man United, but there's a huge question mark about whether he'll adapt to the Premier League, whether he's good enough for the Premier League. He is a very exciting player, but he's not 80 million euros exciting player. Like 80 million euros with 20 add-ons, this is what Liverpool have just paid for Darwin Nunez, which we refuse to pay this. You know, it would have gone to Liverpool anyway, but Manchester United put it out there that they were not comfortable bidding 80 million euros plus 20 for Darwin Nunez, one of the most exciting strikers in European football. We didn't want to be involved in that. We're now bidding 80 million plus 20 for Antony, which nobody else is in for. And he's massively overpriced. And what I would say to Ajax is, I think when your disappointment disappears, you'll realise you've mugged us off twice. I like Martinez and I like Antony, and some people will be going, well, you can like a player and still say that we've been mugged off. Like, who do I like? I like Kimmich, but if we paid £300 million for him, we've been mugged off. Like, Kimmich is world class, but he's not £300 million. I suppose that's the best example, really. You can really like a player and still say we've been mugged off. I think we've been mugged off on Martinez. There's no way we should have paid 55 million euros for him. And there's no way we should be paying effectively 100 million euros for Antony, because that's what he's going to cost if he's successful. It's 80 million euros if he flops and you don't have to pay the add-ons. 80 million euros. It's just stupid. Absolutely stupid. So Ajax fans, take this as a compliment. You are getting tens of euros, millions more than you should be getting, which means you'll be able to buy loads more players to develop. So yeah, look, I really do want Antony, and I think there's a massive positive of what he can bring to the team. He's left-footed. He could flop. He could be a rip-roaring success, but the the price dictates that he has to be Salah success. Like, he's got to be Son success. Like, he cannot be, you know, Zaha success. Like, Zaha's not 80 million euros, is he? He's got to become a Salah or a Son for that money. He has to. And that's a huge amount of pressure we're putting on the player. And my mind drifts back to Pepe of Arsenal. They spent £70 million on him. And from day one, he was weighed down by that price and never achieved it. Morning, Mark. Well, with Antony, it's different. We keep matching Ajax price and they keep playing with us. So Antony wants to leave as well. Says Ray. Mr. K, welcome to the members club. So look, we will sign Antony. We've got the terms agreed. We're now going to agree the fee with Ajax, but that fee is going to be huge, absolutely huge, and it comes back to what we keep talking about time and time again. Unfortunately, Manchester United are just in this situation at the moment where they're absolutely desperate, chaotic, throwing silly money at it. And of course, let's just say that we could have got Antony for about 50 million quid in early June. We could have got him for 80 million euros in mid-July, and we walked away. And then, look, this is the truthful one. We could have got Antony for 80 million euros in mid-July, and we walked away. We're now walking back at the end of August and giving them 80 plus 20. Don't tell me Murta, Arnold and Glazers aren't a big bunch of prats, because we could have got Antony for 80 million euros flat in mid-July. We're now giving them 80 million euros plus 20. So we walked away in mid-July saying that's too much money, we're not going to pay it, and now we're going back and paying more. Explain that one to me. Don't worry, I'll do it for you very, very quickly. In mid-July, the Glazers were like, we're not spending that money. We're not spending that money. You'll have to find an alternative. Now Sir Jim Radcliffe wants to buy the club. We'll spend that money and more. We've got to get that player. This will get the fans off our back. And ultimately, it's the same tactic as the Super League. Games are getting cancelled. The Glazers are thinking they're going to have to sell. They do a Zoom call. They buy Jadon Sancho and everything stops. And they're just going down that angle again. They think if they buy a load of good players, you'll leave it. And maybe you will. Maybe you will. I'm one person. You're one person. I don't know what the whole fan base is going to do. But that's the tactic they're trying here. They're trying to buy your support. Not even your support. I don't think anyone will support the Glazers. They're just trying to buy your silence. They're trying to silence you with signings and, you know, shirt reveals, etc. Mark, would you pull out the Antony deal and go for an alternative given the price? Oh, baggy bottom jeans. Oh, I tell you, Jesus, that's such a good question. Would I pull out of the Antony deal at this price? It's the horrible question because I have to answer it. And I've just said it's a lot of money. I mean, I suppose my get out of jail card would be I would never be in this situation. I would never be in this situation because if I was the CEO, I would have got this deal done for 60 million euros at the start of June. At the very worst, I would have done it for 80 million euros in mid-July, which is still too much. But now, I can't think of a circumstance I would put myself in that situation because I would be like, this is just Glazeronomics, isn't it? Chuck money at the problem because you're panicking. All I can say is, well, it's really hard to answer because the Glazers have caused this situation by their desperation, but Ten Hag's wanted this player all summer. So the price is somewhat irrelevant. We do need to get Antony for Ten Hag because it's the player that he wants. But the price we're paying because the Glazers are stupid is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. 80 million euros plus 20 is just pure stupid. But I would say, to answer the question, they've got to pay it. The Glazers have got to pay it, and they've got to expose how stupid they are because they've got to give Ten Hag the player. He's not worth it, nowhere near that, but they've got to pay it now because they've messed up all summer and they've got to give Ten Hag the player that he wants. Antony has to be a Man United player. It's what Ten Hag wants. You've got to get that player. And he would have been available for nearly half what we're going to pay if we'd have been competent. So, yeah, it's stupid money we're paying, but we're paying it because of the Glazers. The last week or so shows the dichotomy of Glazer United can do fast deals but do it at the wrong time of the window. So incompetent, says Emily. Well, it's just pure panic, Emily, really, isn't it? That's exactly what it is. But we will get this Antony deal over the line. As I said, terms are agreed with the player. It's now about when it happens. He's not playing for Ajax today. I would say we will get Antony done in the next 24 to 48 hours because they will want him to play against Southampton. And whatever happens with Liverpool tomorrow, obviously I did the preview last night. I feel it's the last game we can afford. Well, we can't afford to lose it, but it has to be the last game we lose. Like, there's got to be that Southampton game. We've got to go and beat Southampton, Leicester and Arsenal. That's our next 3 games. And as we know, Arsenal are playing really well at the moment. So, yeah, well, as I said, 3 signings this week. We know we're going to officially get Casemiro announced. That's one. Antony will be the second one. The third one, I think there will be a third signing this week in the next 7 days, and I think that there's a very high chance that it will be before the Southampton game. I fully expect, well, Casemiro will play against Southampton. I think Antony will be in for that game. I think they will go for another one. I don't know whether they'll get the third one in for Southampton, but they will get a third signing done this week in the next 7 days, or at least to the point where we know who it is. Who it's going to be. Could be Gakpo after the second leg against Rangers. Could be a right back. We're interested in a lot of right backs. And also, if we are still in for De Jong, it could well be De Jong this week as well. So I think it's going to be a very... I'm loath to say exciting. I will settle on interesting. I know exactly what's going on. This is not what was going to happen. This was not going to happen. This is only because someone wants to buy the club that the Glazers are trying to throw the money around. But they will throw the money around, whether we like it or not. Johnny, thank you very much for the super chat there. And also, Mark, I feel more insulted by the fact that the Glazers are trying to buy us out. It shows how little they think of United fans, says Paul. And I really like Antony, very silky player, can move Sancho on the left, Rashford and hopefully Gakpo on the bench, says Dazo Bear. Well, look, whatever you think about the price of Antony, there can be no doubts that we do need players. I mean, I heard Rooney saying that he'd drop Ronaldo and Rashford for the game tomorrow. And I was like, this is why you're losing games 6-0, Wayne. Because you're not thinking it through. Like, if you put Ronaldo and Rashford on the bench, who are you going to start then? Alanga and Charlie McNeil. Well, Martial's back now, so Alanga and Martial. Like, I'm not saying Rooney's wrong to say drop Rashford and Ronaldo. I mean, I think dropping Ronaldo is stupid, to be honest with you, but Rooney seems to be another English player that has an issue with Ronaldo at the moment. But away from that, I think that this is why we need players. And if you have got Gakpo and Antony, it means you could go and drop Rashford and Ronaldo if you wanted to. So we do need to get those players in, but we've needed those players in all summer. And as somebody just said there, a week ago we're bidding for Arnautovic and Rabiot, and now we're bidding hundreds of millions of pounds for players, and it's very obvious why. Do the Glazers, Murta, Arnold realise they are exposing themselves even more by making stupid bids, says Rory. Basically, what the Glazers are doing, and what Richard Arnold's doing, and what John Murta is doing, is they're trying to save each other's arse. They're trying to save their skin, they're trying to save their job, whatever term you want to use. Because the Glazers are spending money because they know there's a Glazer out movement, and they know that it's a dangerous one when someone wants to buy the club. Look, if you're the boss and your workers don't like you, fine, I'm the boss. If you're the boss and your workers don't like you and they've got a new boss they want, you're in trouble because you can get overthrown. And that is why the Glazers are now spending money, in a very simple explanation. The Glazers out movement's always been there, and they've always been, well, what are they going to do? We're in control, no one can get us out. But suddenly, the Glazers out movement's very big, and they can see somebody else to kick them out. And they're like, oh my God, we better spend some money, and we better spend it quickly. For the case of Richard Arnold and John Murta, they are pro-Glazer because they have to be, because they're employed by them, but also Richard Arnold and John Murta will be working their backside off because they need the Glazers to stay as well. Because the minute the Glazers are out, Richard Arnold's out of a job, John Murta's out of a job. So, logically, whether you like them or not, they are going to try to be as competent as they can in the next 2 weeks. They're going to be ringing up all sorts of people. Which is why the Casemiro deal happened so quick. It's an impressive signing because he's a fantastic player. It's not an impressive deal. I was out last night watching the AJ fight and was talking to some people about the Casemiro deal who are not United fans, and they were saying, really good signing, who wouldn't want Casemiro, but it's not a good deal. And I was like, well, come on then. And they were like, well, you're paying 60 million plus 10 for a 30-year-old and you're giving him 350 grand a week. He'd have come to Aston Villa for that. Like, it's a no-brainer for Casemiro because the money's ridiculous, and it's also a no-brainer for Real Madrid because the money's ridiculous. Like, he's a good player for Man United, but you can't say Richard Arnold and John Murtough have pulled off a great signing. It's a very easy signing. You've just given Real Madrid a very, very good price, and you've just given the player very, very good wages. These aren't things where you say Murtough madness or brilliant director of football. I could have done that deal. You could have done that deal. It's just there's nothing like when you see. I'm trying to think of a good deal this summer. You know, Bissouma for 25 million by Spurs. I think that's a really good deal. I think you look at that and go, that's a good deal. But I don't look at Casemiro as a transfer and go, oh, we've done really well there. Like, we're paying 60, 70 million for him and 350 grand a week. If you've got the money, it's quite a straightforward deal to do if the player wants to come. And he did. So I think that's what Murtough and Arnold are going to be doing over the next week. I mean, apparently, Duncan Castle said we did have a bid of over 100 million rejected for João Felix. Well, that's not it's a good deal if you get João Felix, but it's not an amazing transfer, is it? You've just gone and offered ridiculous money, and that's what Murtough and Arnold will be doing now. They'll be saying to the Glazers, look, let's get Antony. I mean, that's a bad deal as a transfer. 80 million euros plus 20 is a bad transfer. It doesn't make the player bad, and I do want Antony, and I did want Casemiro, but the fees we're paying, they are what they are. They're the Glazers desperately trying to stay in the job, and it's the last 2 weeks of the window trying to con the fans, chucking stupid money at good players. And they are good players, but we're paying over the odds. And as I said, Murtough and Arnold are out of a job if the Glazers get fired. So they're going to, they are minions of the Glazers, whether you like it or not. I understand why they're doing it. They've got a mortgage to pay. They've got, a lifestyle to upkeep. They probably don't want to not be former sacked CEO of Manchester United. So they're fighting for that job that gives them the kudos and the money that they want. But they are minions of the Glazers. You're out of a job when the Glazers are gone. I can't think of any owner that would keep a CEO whose background is in banking and a director of football who really does look massively out of his depth. So they are of course they're pro Glazers. Antony in, Gakpo in, Glazers out, says United forever. This is how to not do signings. Pathetic. This club will sink further and further, says Sal. Let the Glazers buy the players now, then kick them out of the club, says Edward. United fans made the club abandon Arnautovic. Signing also stopped Apollo from taking a stake in Manchester United. Shows if we unite, we can make the Glazers leave, says Shahir. Exactly. There are some wins recently. The Arnautovic deal. Remember, Ten Hag, the Glazers, Murtough, Arnold, they all sanctioned bidding for Arnautovic. It was your outrage that made them pull out of the deal. So, on one hand, fan power is very, very big at this football club, and they will be wary of that. If it was to be a right back, Mark, who do you believe are our top targets, says Jacob? Well, I still think we'll sign Dumfries because the money that's being thrown around, I always felt that, Dumfries is the number one right back that Ten Hag wants. But I didn't think it was going to happen because I couldn't see where we were going to raise the 30 million quid. But when you're offering 80 million euros plus 20 for Antony, I'm pretty sure we can give in to 35 million euros for Dumfries. Although, we have been linked to this Monaco right back, as well as Dest. We're being linked to a lot, but I'd still say, if we're going for what Ten Hag wants, unless Dumfries is not leaving Inter anymore, then that's the player I would expect. Do the Glazers, Murtough, Arnold, etc. realise they are exposing themselves even more, says Rory. And we've done that one as well. And what was this one? Here, let me just read it. For all the fans getting excited by these signings, if these signings fail, the pressure mounts on Ten Hag. Media attention shifts and Glazers out is effectively out the window, says Div. You've got to be very, very wary of that. And also, there will be. Look, I'm not even critical of these journalists. They didn't really want Ten Hag. They wanted Pochettino. And what will be frustrating them is the start of the season, and also the amount of money that Ten Hag is getting now. They'll be thinking, what would Poch have done with this? He might have bought Harry Kane or something like that. So there will be some people in the journalistic world who'll be going, oh my God, he's spending 100 million euros on an Eredivisie player. What is his obsession with the Eredivisie? So there will be people who think like that, and they will try and put pressure on Ten Hag, you're right, but we need to focus on the Glazers. Interestingly enough, I'm on TalkSport tonight at 8 o'clock. It's a call-in, so if you want to call in and have your say, it's national radio, it's on YouTube as well, TalkSport YouTube channel. But we will be talking about the protest tomorrow because I think it's a great opportunity on national radio to get it out there, what United fans are doing and why. But Jurgen Klopp was speaking about TalkSport, and he was also talking about the game tomorrow. Now, he was asked about the protests and spoke about the protests and basically said this. Hopefully, it won't impact on the game like it did last time when the game got cancelled. Obviously, he said the fans have got a right to protest, but if the game gets cancelled, then we should get the points because it's already a ridiculously busy season with the World Cup and it shouldn't get rearranged. So if the game was cancelled tomorrow, and I don't know whether I should pass judgment on it really, because it's the point of the protest is to be peaceful. It's not to get the game cancelled. The last time, obviously, it got cancelled because people broke into the ground and we saw all the pictures, and it was a very, very volatile situation with what the Glazers were trying to do with the Super League. It was a very angry protest, that was. How the protest goes tomorrow, I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be a very successful one. But if the game did get cancelled, we probably would lose the points by the looks of it. We're probably going to lose the points anyway, is what I would say. But no matter how many players we sign, the picture that should never be forgotten is that of the stadium being repainted, because that sums up the Glazers, says Glenn. To be honest, I'll be more content with Caicedo and Tony rather than Casemiro. At least they are long-term signings. Casemiro is not, says Jay. Glazers out and take the captain with you, says Brian. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit concerned about the whole Eredivisie player thing, says Ivan Whelan. Antony's a great player, but 100 million is ridiculous, says Ivan. Well, someone said this to me the other day. They said, I'll bet you any money, that Martinez and Antony won't be a success at United. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, well, if you look at the success of Eredivisie players, a lot of them don't do well. Some of them do well, but a lot of them don't. So if you've got two players from the Eredivisie, you're going to be ridiculously lucky if they're both successful. And I suppose, in fact, you know what? There's another one, Malacia. He's Eredivisie as well. So what are the chances that Malacia, Martinez and Antony all succeed? We've bought 3 Eredivisie players, and statistically, are they all going to be successful? I suppose the money we're playing, if any of them's going to be a flop, you'd want it to be Malacia, but we'll see. He won't get away from that, though. There are already media outlets talking about that. Why do you think Bailly can't get a game? He was involved in several goals in pre-season, says Ash G. Ethan Fernandez, welcome to the members club. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way, bottom right hand corner. You raise a good point. I think Fabrizio was saying that Eric Bailly really wants to go to Marseille, and that deal is nearly done. It's a loan with an option to buy. Crap deal. Absolutely crap deal for many reasons. Absolutely crap deal. Eric Bailly, for me, is better than Lindelof and Maguire, and I've always said that. Marginally, not massively, but certainly at the very least, I don't think anybody can say Maguire and Lindelof are way better than Bailly. I think Bailly is slightly better in the team I want to play, but he's certainly on par. He's always done a good job for us when we use him. Why can't we get money for Eric Bailly? If we can't get money for Eric Bailly, we've got no chance of getting money for Brandon Williams and Twansebi and Wan-Bissaka, have we? Unless we're going to let them go ridiculously cheap. I can't understand why Eric Bailly is going to Marseille on loan. He should be in the Serie A, he should be in La Liga, he could even play in the Premier League. I don't get why Eric Bailly is going on loan to the French League when many of us would be starting him over our captain. It's just weird. And this is something at Man United that I do include Ten Hag with. There is something ridiculously weird behind the scenes at Man United where people like Harry Maguire stay captain, McTominay and Fred keep getting picked, Bruno plays every minute, Rashford keeps getting picked as well. There's just apathy and favouritism at that football club, and Eric Bailly sort of symbolises how you can be a victim of that favouritism, because I really do believe Eric Bailly would have performed better than Lindelof and Maguire last year if it had been given game time, and he's just never been given it. And for him to be going on loan as well, it's ridiculous. It really is. Antony won't save you, says Zane. Did you see the masterpiece yesterday? We're playing you in a couple of weeks, Zane, so get ready. Mark, have you got a glass eye on a United? No, I haven't, Sam. This is looking better, but on a United note, this is a looking better, but the Glazers still need to go. Do you think the game will be postponed, says Sam. Sam, have you got piles? I'm all for the spending, but I'm worried the repercussions of spending will affect the next windows. Hopefully the fans don't blame Antony, says Adved. And hi Mark, read the Maguire rumours. It wouldn't shock me if it was fed to the media by his own team to propaganda United fans into thinking he must be good, says Marmaduke. Well, from Manchester United, I mean, I said this, I think many people agreed. This story about Harry Maguire being up for sale on Friday was bollocks. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why it came out. I think it was spin. I think it's part of the whole let's try and get the fan base excited so they don't think about the Glazers. Harry Maguire's not for sale. He's not for sale. Manchester United don't want to sell him. And more importantly, the most important thing is he's not for sale because nobody will buy him. Nobody will buy Harry Maguire. As good as he thinks he is and as good as United think they are, nobody will buy him. And people will be going, no, someone will buy him. They won't buy him because the price we want for him, no one will pay. If Maguire was up for sale for 20 million, people would buy him. But United will want 60 at least. And he's on 200 grand a week. He's unsellable. So look, he shouldn't be captain. He shouldn't be starting, but he's unsellable. And this is actually a really good example of the problem of overpaying for players. Now, hopefully Antony will be a success. Hopefully Casemiro will be a success. But if they're not, and in 2 or 3 years' time you're going, why did we buy them? I hope he's not going to start. Why is he always playing? Antony could very easily become the next Maguire, where you've spent so much money on them and you've given them such big wages that if they flop, you can't get rid of them. And that is why people who say, well, it's not my money, I don't care. Really good stance, because we should be spending the money of the club that we earn and not spending it on debt repayments and the Glazers dividends. But there is something to be said for getting good deals. And Maguire is unsellable. Completely unsellable. 200 grand a week, 80 million pounds 3 years ago. Nobody, well, United are not going to sell him for what people would pay. And even if Everton said there's 20 million for Maguire and Man United went okay, they wouldn't want to pay him 200 grand a week. And he'd say, well, I've got 3 or 4 years left on my deal on 200 grand a week, so I'm not going to go. He's unsellable. We've got a few players like this who are unsellable. And effectively, Antony is unsellable unless he is a rip-roaring success when we get him. What would your reaction be if McTominay starts ahead of Casemiro, says Ivan? Well, the thing is, it would not surprise me, but it really probably won't happen. Let's spend our way out of this mess on Eric Ten Hag targets. Anton capability isn't different to Sancho's. Also, need Frankie de Jong or Lema to complete the midfield, says Humphrey. Any chance we sign Hakimi, says Mohammed. I don't think we will sign Hakimi, but you can't say there's no chance. If I'd have said to you last week, Casemiro will be a Man United player by Saturday, you'd have laughed. So I don't think anything's impossible for United because the Glazers are desperately trying to stay in post. So they will sign. They will do. If there's basically, if Richard Arnold said to the Glazers today, we can get Hakimi, De Jong, and Gakpo this week, and I can get them done this week, they'll go, there's the money. I think they will. I think they will because I think they're that desperate. Mark, our showdown with United is a foregone conclusion. A bit like Fury versus AJ, says Zane. Very good start to the season for Arsenal, unfortunately. But yeah, that's where we are. And yeah, Bay is about to go to Marseille, which is exactly why, another reason why Harry Maguire's not for sale, because we've got Varane, Martinez, Lindelof and Maguire as our 4 centre-backs, which I personally don't think is good balance. I look at Liverpool when they've got everybody fit. It's Van Dijk, Konate, Matip and Gomez. All very, very different ability, but they've all got big similarities in the fact that they can play a high line and they're fast. We've got Martinez, not particularly quick. Varane's quick. Lindelof's not quick and Maguire's not quick. So we've got 4 centre-backs that don't suit a high line. You can see issues, can't you? Whereas Eric Bailly suits a high line. Again, there's a lot of things that have happened this summer that I really didn't think would happen. Like, I really didn't think he would start McFred. He did. I really didn't think he would start Maguire ahead of Varane. He did. I really didn't think he would give the captaincy to Maguire. He did. And that just, to me, represents a fear that I think many Man United fans have got. And it's another big reason why you'd love to see the Glazers out. I don't care what anybody says, and I don't actually have the evidence of it. I really do think there is involvement in team selections and favouritism in that football club. And it's been going on for about 3 years. So some of Ten Hag's selections and decisions, which are basically the same as Ollie and Ranić, have stunned me as a new manager if you know how he plays football. And yet he's done the same things that Ollie and Ranić did. And it leads me to believe that there's something going on in that football club. Like, it could be that the Glazers basically insist on picking players that have cost them a lot of money. I don't know. But it's another reason to want the Glazers out, because too many weird things happen at United around team selections and favouritism that you wouldn't see at a Liverpool or a Man City or a Chelsea. We don't really see logical decisions made very often. And I do think that the Glazers have a real big grip on the day-to-day running of the club, and I think it goes down to the team selections as well. I'm not saying they pick the team, I'm not saying that, but I think that they have a say in what goes on. Considering the Glazers have a PR expert, they are awful at it. These signings happen in June, everyone would be buzzing. Worst PR team ever, says James. The thing is though, James, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe had tried to buy the club in June, they would have done these deals in June. It's because he's expressed an interest in the middle of August that the Glazers have suddenly started spending money. That's the only reason. I mean, to the Glazers, the start of the season and the summer transfer window are irrelevant dates. They're not bothered about them. This is just about trying to keep the club. Sam Bradley, welcome to the Members Club. Anyway, look, that's the update. What next? I don't think Antony will be a done deal today, not with Ajax playing a game. I think Ajax will be pretty pissed off with what's going on and will probably say we're not doing anything today because we've got a match. So I would expect maybe they'll do it tomorrow when we've got a match. United need the Antony deal done quick so he can play against Southampton. So that means it needs to be done very, very quick because Saturday lunchtime is our next game after Liverpool, and that will come around very, very quickly. And as I say, I expect we're going to continue to be linked and bid for loads and loads of players. We have bid for quite a few players and they've been rejected. As I say, João Felix is apparently a player that we've been rejected on as well. So we will keep doing it. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Plan for today, we've got the show at 7. I'm on TalkSport at 8, which is also on YouTube. You can tune in for that. You can call in as well. I'm doing a watch along at 4:30 for Newcastle against Man City. And obviously, if anything breaks during the day like it did yesterday, we'll go live on that as well. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Big shout out to the members, by the way. We've had loads of views for the latest members video, which is Casemiro versus Fabinho versus Rodri. A deep dive into their stats over the last year, looking at who comes out on top in different areas like aerial duels, passing forward, interceptions, etc. Really good watch. If you are a member, make sure you watch it. If you want to become a member, you can click the join button like Sam Bradley did. And what was the other thing? Yeah, please subscribe and smash a like. Thank you very much. Speak to you all in a bit. Final super chat though. Andrew says, love the videos, always speaking facts, but thoughts on Garnacho. Should he be playing over Rashford? I know he's young, but he's direct. If we build a team that's stable, then you can bring in Garnacho. But you can't throw Garnacho into a team like this at the moment because he's a young player and he needs to have stability. Thanks for watching. Take care.